Somehow, it's already been 10 years. We're talking about the Stage 4 10 years anniversary, and you're beginning today the European leg of this anniversary tour. Welcome to Touché Amoré, to Primavera Sound, to Barcelona again. How are you guys?
Feeling great. Very happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
What a great way to start a European summer tour at Primavera Sound.
It could be worse.
I mean, you know, with this festival, I mean, you've been here before. You played a very legendary show, which people are still sort of talking about today, and fans and things. What does it mean to you to play Primavera, to be invited back?
I mean, it's an honor. You know, we don't have as many eclectic festivals like this in the States, certainly not ones that we often get invited to. Mm-hmm. So to be able to be alongside so many bands that we are not only influenced by, but huge fans of, is something that we don't take for granted. Like, we feel very happy to be here. Like, knowing that, you know, a band that we're friends with, like Knocked Loose, is also on the show today, playing the same time, you know, playing the same festival as like the Gorillaz is just, you know, it's neat.
Yeah, it's really special, and getting to come back all these years later and see it in the same place, beautiful view of the water, beautiful view of the city, and then together with beautiful music and all of that stuff, it's always a really special place to be.
Yeah.
You got here yesterday?
And two of us did.
Yeah. Most of us did, yeah.
And you could have spent some time here in the festival already?
Nick has.
Yeah, I was here most of the day yesterday. Slow Dive, Rallo Kiley, Addison Rae, The Cure, and Cara Delevingne.
What was the Cara Delevingne show like? Because we were very curious. We hadn't heard a note.
It's most people haven't. She's just started promoting new music. It's fantastic. The show was amazing. The lighting was very sophisticated and cool. She fucking killed it.
It was pretty cool. Let's talk about you. 10 years of Stage 4 and almost 20 years as a band. How does it feel to look back at that time?
Of the Stage 4 release?
Of the Stage 4 and as a band.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you start doing something with your friends, and then time is terrifying with how quickly it moves, you know? Like, I don't know that when we started this that we, you know, thought about how long it would last, and we just kept making records and we just kept touring, and now it's 18 years later, and you know, if it was a child, it would be an adult now, which is very weird to think about. And then with Stage 4, kind of similar thing, you know, like, we made this record that we were super proud of, and I think at the time, you know, you never expect what you don't really know going into a record the type of impact that it would have on people and all of that, and especially this one in particular, written about such a personal, heavy subject. I think it just reinstates the idea that the closer you write, the more personal you write, the harder it connects to an audience. You know, because even though you're writing this thing about a very specific event, you know, it's that classic realization that, you know, we're all not so unique. Everybody kind of goes through things like this. And so, I think the more personal you write, the closer it can, you know, live on with your audience.
I mean, I imagine at the time of writing Stage 4, you know, it was a visceral experience, and you had to get out all those emotions, and you had your art to channel it through. But 10 years later, how does it feel revisiting those emotions and having to perform them, you know, and you knowing the power it has to connect with the audience? But how do you face that thing that back
I understand the question for sure. I know what you're getting at, and you know, on one side, half the record, for the most part, are songs that we have kind of continuously played, so like those don't feel too, you know, like those feel pretty commonplace, but the joy that you can get out of revisiting an album in full is that you get to fall back in love with songs you haven't played live that much. And given the context of the record, obviously there is some, like, you know, heavy emotions that can come with it and things like that. But, you know, I've been pretty vocal about the fact that when we're performing these songs, like, my brain is a bit on autopilot, and that's sort of a way to persevere through it, you know, like, because I think if I just sat and thought about every single line and every single lyric as we were doing this, like, it would be a lot harder. But I'm up there performing a record that I'm proud of with these guys that, we're all, this record means a lot to us, not even just for the fact of the emotional weight of it, but, I think we're all equally as proud of just the music that we made and everything,
Yeah, and also I think time is, interesting, and it always is going to give you a different perspective, right? Like, say there's a photo of you 10 years ago in an outfit that you find ugly. 10 years later, you're going to look at that photo and maybe smile at it and be like, it's not that big a deal, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily change how you feel about it. You might still find it ugly, but perspective is certainly going to shift. So I think it's hard to quantify exactly how your emotions shift over that time, but they do. There's no doubt about it. But like he said, it's still us 5 guys. So we get to kind of share in all that together. So we don't have to sit there and individually think about it. We get to kind of do it as a collective. And I think that helps all of us individually as well.
And technically, have you adapted any new modus operandi to make sure you keep being one of the loudest bands on the circuit? Have you nerded out on technology that, there's a new thing where you can actually, the perception of noise is even bigger? I don't know.
No, the short answer is no. We keep it as simple as we did from the day we started.
Yeah.
My gear is nearly the same.
Yeah, I mean, truly, I think we're never going to change from that, probably, because that's how we grew up and that's what inspired us initially. So something like as simple as a really simple tube amp and a guitar and an overdrive pedal, and that stuff still speaks to me on a really deep level.
Yeah.
So it'd be hard for me to move past that, because I think that is in itself its own member of the band in a way.
Yeah.
The music and how that all happens.
Yeah, because for example, yesterday we were talking to Texas is the Reason that they are reuniting, and we asked them if they were playing the same gear they used to record and play 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they say that
Yeah.
More or less,
Give or take.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I imagine.
Same guitar. Well, then they went into a whole thing of how a guitar that one of them gave to a sound technician like 20 years ago, they saw that guitar
In Germany.
in someone else's hands. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And what about vocally? Have you become even more technical to ensure that? I mean, how many dates are you looking at now in Europe ahead of you? Every night having to belt it out.
It's a sensitive subject. I'm as I'm getting older, it's getting a little harder. But again, something you start doing 18 years ago and you don't really think much about it.
Yeah.
It used to be easier because we used to play 30 minutes or 20-minute sets, and I could last for 2 months straight. But now we're playing, 80 minutes, and I just gotta keep my fingers crossed and hope that I don't fail.
Keep a little irritated and keep on singing.
Yeah.
And talking about voice, you're known to have this voice disorder known as powerphonia. But despite that, I found that it's amazing that you keep such a high-level singer, and you're even a podcaster. So, how much training you've needed to control your voice like this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's this is just how I talk. Like I'm not thinking about anything else. Like, this is just how I talk. Yeah.
So, any special training?
No vocal or gymnastics or
No, none.
ginger, lemon. I don't know, dude.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, like, I'll drink tea. Yeah, but whether it's doing anything for me that's up to, science, I guess.
I always wondered what Axl Rose drank. Do you remember? Did you ever watch him perform when they were at the height of Use Your Illusion?
Yeah.
He had the typical sort of medieval goblet with the blue liquid, and I'm like, what the hell is he drinking? That it must be some pharmaceutical thing for his voice. There wasn't purple drink back in '92. I don't think.
Yeah,
Probably a wine
Long
cooler.
Island iced tea.
Wine cooler.
I was going to say, respectfully, I wouldn't copy what Axl does.
Yeah, but he's in fine form. We saw him like 2 years ago? They played.
I think 2 years ago.
And
played,
he's been his voice was as best as ever, and that guy's
Wow.
got an age now and stuff. And I remember him. Well, anyway, let's not talk. Let's move on.
and following with your voice, don't worry, I won't ask you to do your secret voice.
You ain't getting it.
You have your own record label called Secret Voice.
Yep.
Do you follow any guidelines when signing a band?
I mean, it's just if I've come across a band that I think just I could tell means it, I think that's all that I ever is sort of the basis on my interest in working with a band. If I can, you can audibly tell if a band is doing something genuine, and I feel like I have a pretty strong like barometer of like, are you making this music because it's a fad or because it's something like that, or if you're writing this music because you don't know how to do anything else and this is the most important thing to you. Like that's all that you can hear that pretty quickly with any new band.
Yeah.
Like if you're yelling because you mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Spiral, you have guest spots from Julian Baker and Lou Barlow, and when you perform those songs on the live, in your tours, and they're not available to come on stage and sing their parts or whatever, how do you sort of compensate for their absence?
Clayton and I do Lou.
Yeah.
Julian, we just kind of rock without.
Yeah. I mean, she's there in spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it also, I mean, on Spiral specifically, the song that she does, we just exclude her part. But the Lou Barlow part, Nick said we do together. She also sings on the song Reminders with us. Nick and I do that as well. So a lot of just filling in what we can with, we have 4 vocals up front and mix and match in between to, whether it's to give Jeremy a respite or to make the part feel bigger, something like that. It's just kind of a sort of a technical figuring out what fills out the song.
And what's the story? Because you don't seem like the kind of band who, strategically sends DMs to, it would be cool to work with so-and-so to, get more clout. I don't think that's your case. So in the case of, are they part of your sort of social circle generally? Like Lou Barlow, for instance, who's a bit older. How did that come about? Were you just fans of his and Dinosaur?
These were all totally different circumstances. Like Andy Hall from Manchester from Lament, like that's someone that we were lucky enough to call a friend. Julian, we've known since she kind of first started making records, and has just maintained a wonderful relationship with her. She's been on 3 records now, which is very, very crazy. But Lou Barlow is an example of like kind of what you said, honestly, where it was like I had this idea and I was thinking about different people I could ask to sing this part, as it's a Sebado song. And then I just had the wild idea of like, well, what if I just asked the guy? And I knew how bold of a request that was to be like, hey, can you sing your song on our song? But I wrote him as thoughtful of an email as I could muster, like as strongly and kindly as I could, explaining the song, explaining what his song means to me, explaining how it fits. And I sent a demo with how it would sound. And he just responded saying, sounds fun, let's do it. So I was just blown away.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
No puedes no verlas, ¿verdad? Dejan huellas que no se borran fácilmente. Juegan como si el tiempo no fuera con ellos. Sin decir una palabra, pero aún así te obligan a parar y mirar. Se quedan en tu cabeza, mucho después de que el show termine. Por más que las persigas, simplemente siempre estarán un paso por delante. Superstar. Superstar, de Adidas Originals.
It's usually the opposite. Sometimes we're afraid to send a long email like in work. It's like, I don't want to stress my colleague out by having to make them read. But artists, like the more you pour into it, the more legit.
Yeah, because, I think if it was just like, hey, will you sing your song on our song? Like, I feel like he deserves all the context,
Yeah,
like
totally.
he seems like an incredibly thoughtful guy. So
Yeah.
You were once tagged as an arena hardcore band by Stereogam.
Okay.
Something that I don't know how to feel about it, because I don't.
Wait,
I have kind of
You
mixed.
said arena hardcore?
Yeah,
Arena
arena
hardcore.
hardcore.
Yeah,
But
we're a punk band.
I don't kind of understand this concept at all.
Me neither.
I mean, I guess I understand what they're getting at, but seeing as how we've only done that in Europe for like 4 shows or 5 shows, yeah, I mean, I guess that's
13 years ago.
Yeah, I guess that's just sort of saying, you know, we're, I'll look at it as a positive and say that we can perform on a large stage and not have to be 100% reliant on audience participation. So I'll look at it as a positive because there are bands that are quite large that need that.
Yeah.
And if they don't have that, then you can sort of see the cracks in their armor, you know? So I'll take it as a compliment, I guess.
Do you ever, when you get booked, like in a Primavera Sound or you know, a big festival stage, are there certain secret weapons or tactics that like, guys, we got to fill more space, we got to reach people further back, maybe dramatic pauses, this kind of thing? Do you change dynamics, or is it doesn't vary from when you're playing a club to?
I think, yeah, I mean, a little bit. Like
There might just be certain songs that we know thrive in a club atmosphere with, you know, closer crowd participation
I think
or
that's
a giant barrier. Like,
right.
but that's really about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's more of a strategic choosing of the songs. I think the way we perform is the way we perform. I can't imagine us changing for anything just because like that's just the authentic way that it comes out. We can't help it. Like we sound how we sound no matter where we are, no matter what we do. It just happens that way. So it's, you know, changing it to the location in terms of like crowd participation or stuff like that. But in terms of what we do, we go up there and we play, honestly.
Yeah, for better or worse.
Yeah.
And maybe I think that it kind of depends of the kind of festival, for example, you're playing at. Because, I mean, you can play in a hardcore and metal fest, the audience is going to be there for you completely. But for example, in a festival like this festival as Primavera Sound, that it has such a wide, different audience, it's going to be like, yeah, how can you make them connect to you?
Yeah, you just have to look them right in the face and say, I'm yelling at you.
And hey, sometimes that's exciting for us because, you know, we get to play to people that don't have a preconceived notion of who we are. And maybe we get to play some more expansive songs, maybe some newer songs that we don't get to normally play, dust off some stuff that makes us really excited and not have to play the songs that, you know, the people who've supported us all these years certainly deserve to hear whenever we're playing a hardcore festival. I have no problem playing any of those songs, but it's also fun to go play to new people and get to have that experience once in a while.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, before our time is up, you know, you've been touring so much, you know, that one would imagine, do you require extra rehearsals when you're about to start a new tour, or is it doesn't take you long to like remember?
No, I mean, I like to try to rehearse maybe just before we start, just to sort of like give my voice a bit of warm up from like if I go from 0 to 100, like it's pretty rough for me the first couple days. But if I have the opportunity to like practice, it's mostly just that's kind of the thing. Like we didn't practice before this tour started because he was out of town. So like, and we had just played a show in LA. So yeah, we did a tour recently in the States of this show. So it's like, it's there, you know?
Because you guys live close together, or?
Yeah. We're all within, like 30 minutes of one another.
That's cool.
But
Except for our drummer who lives
Other side of town.
should be a 20-minute drive, but it's LA, so he's 90 minutes away.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Radio Primavera Sound. We absolutely love Touché Amoré. Nearly everyone in the Primavera Sound office, we were asking them a week ago, like, who do you want to see? Who do you want to see? We're making a little editorial thing. And everyone's like, Touché Amoré, Touché Amoré.
Oh, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate
that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming.
Honor.